Okay, take two. I just recorded this video and the microphone wasn't turned on. Bummer. So here we go. Gonna do it again for you guys. So we're gonna recreate this drawing sheet, which is the green one. You can see I've already made all these sheets. I'm gonna delete it, painful as it is, and we're gonna recreate it. So if you don't know how to add the drawing tab, go back in Schoology and look for that video that shows you how to add the drawing tab with the correct title block. That is a template that you have to download from Schoology and import into your Schoology account. Once you have a drawing tab open, we add all the pages we need on the sheet manager right here. So I've already created all these, including the green one. I'm just going to do the green one again as a demo. So I'm going to hit this Insert Sheet button, and I'm going to rename it. It's a good habit to go ahead and name your sheets. So this is going to be called Demo Green Multiview. That way I know what's on what page, and I don't have to click in and out of them trying to look for something that I remember. All right. Now, the beginning of a good multi-view drawing is picking the best one view that is the most descriptive orthographic view of your part. We are going to call that our front view. We're going to give the most common arrangement of a multi-view drawing, which is to give a front, top, and right view orthographically, and then a front, top, right isometric. And the isometric will shade. Now, it could be easier for you to go back to your part studio and kind of pivot and around and look at that part to try to understand the part and remember what it looks like from different angles. That might be a little faster here than how you would have to rotate it in the drawing sheet. So as I look at it from different sides, I might think about, how many squares of surface area I can see. Think of the blocks we used. So this I can see 3 blocks of surface area. Where here I can see 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we might argue that seeing 4 more surface is more descriptive than 3, right? Or how about 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which on the opposite side of that I can see 5 as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've decided that this U shape is the most descriptive profile I can give. But I have to now choose between this side and this side. And what you notice is that this block is visible on this side, where from this side it's invisible. It's hidden. It's more descriptive to give people a hint that something's going on in my part to make that visible. Now, I can also kind of change the orientation, right, and think about this. I prefer those blocks to be pointing up or right versus left or down. So I don't like that for my view, and I don't like that. And that has to do with some of the guidelines that we are going to learn about dimensioning. So for me, I'm going to decide that I like this orientation the best. Okay, I like the isometric that goes with it when I tilt it to see what I will call the right and the top. I feel like that's a really good isometric. I can really understand the part well, and I don't feel like anything's kind of lost or hidden behind other blocks. So that's the chosen view. Now we just need to know how to get it. Okay, now you need to understand that when I modeled this part, I hit N. If it's a little out of kind of being normal to your view or orthographic, if you click this, it's going to rotate to where you can read top. And I'm just going to hit N on my keyboard to kind of get it to just look straight on. So that's my orthographic view. I'm deciding that's my best view for my front view. Now Onshape may not call it my front view. They over here are going to call it just based on how it matched up to my planes, my 3 primary planes, the front, top, right. So it just so happens this is considered the top. That's okay. We are going to call it the front for the sake of our multi-view drawing. Okay? So to start adding views, I'm going to come over here to Insert. And then I have to hit Insert again to be able to select the part that I want. We are working from the current document. You could potentially pull from other documents, but we're working on a drawing tab that's inside the same document, the same project as my Part Studio. So we're in the current doc and we're under Part Studios. Later we will grab the view of our assembly. So here's the Part Studio, and I want to do the green part. Now, it suggests what's called the front, but remember, we don't want the front. Well, what if I forget and I just click and place it? And even maybe, and you notice Onshape automatically jumps to the next tool once I've placed one view. It says, hey, do you want to project? And projecting would be making another view based on this view. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I'm going to hit escape to turn that tool off, or I can click that tool again, either way. I use escape most of the time. Clicking on a tool that's on will turn it off. Now, the reason why I projected that is I wanted you to see something. If I realize, oh, this is not the view I wanted, you can change it by right-clicking and going to View Properties. Do you remember which view we decided we wanted? It was the top. So I can change it, but what I can't change, and you notice that one adjusts as well, I can't rotate it. You won't be able to rotate this view if you've already projected it. So I would hold off on doing any projections until you know you've got your best front view in the exact orientation you want. You're looking at the right face, and rotationally you've got it where you want. So I'm going to right click and go to View Properties again, and now you'll see that the rotation angle is not grayed out, so I can edit it. I want to rotate this 90 degrees. If it doesn't go the way you want, you can hit this opposite direction to go the other way. It actually went the way I wanted, so there you go. Once you've got your front view how you like it, then you can go to project. This is where CAD is automatically rotating the object 90 degrees for us. When I go up, it's going to give me the top view. What's the top view? The top view is grabbing, these edges represent where the top is, right? It's grabbing those and pulling them forward towards you, rotating the object so that you can see the top. Okay, if I click here and go to the right, it's grabbing the right edge, where the right side is over here, and it's pulling it forward and rotating at 90 degrees so that you can see the right. If you go diagonally, it's going to, if I go to the right, and up, it's going to grab the right side and pull it forward so you can see it, and it's going to pull the top forward as well, so you're kind of going at a diagonal. And you get equal views of the front, top, and right at the same time, and that's our isometric. Now I'm done projecting, so I'm going to turn that tool off. I'm going to shade only the isometric by right-clicking and going to Show and Show Shaded View. There's also the option to show hidden lines on orthographics, but I'm not going to do that yet. Because the next thing we're going to focus on is dimensioning. And we have a rule that says never, ever dimension to a hidden line. So let's not even turn our hidden lines on yet, so that we're not tempted to use them to dimension. Alright, the dimensioning tool is right here. Now one thing that I have already done is I have changed my precision level from showing 3 decimal places to only 2. Where did that just come from magically? I hit this little wrench to pull this out where there's a lot of little tabs, there's a lot of settings that can be messed with. So a couple things I'm changing that make my drawings just a little nicer, a little cleaner looking for this particular project is only showing 2 decimal places. And then in the Dimension tab, I'm changing my text height to be just a little smaller. It defaults at 12 and 18. 0.12 and 0.18 for the text height and the arrowheads. And I'm going to suggest that you change it to maybe 10 for both. I had it even smaller than it really needed to be. Then I'm going to close that wrench menu. That gives me just a little more space for my dimensions. They don't take up as much room. The dimension tool is right here. The first thing you need is your overall dimensions in the 3 principal directions of width, depth, and height. So the overall width is from the left side to the right side. I'm going to click here, and I'm choosing to click on the top line segment instead of the bottom segment because of wanting to get the extension line to have that gap when it gets to the part. If I had selected down here, the gap, the gap wouldn't happen until down here, which then it's not where I can visually see it because it runs over top of that part. So I'm mindful about where I click and select, knowing where I'm going to put my dimension so that I get the little gap. So watch for that. Okay, so that's my overall width. I also want my overall height. My overall height can be seen in the front view as well, from the top to the bottom, It can also be seen in the right view. This is the top as well, and this is the bottom as well. Now, those are the same dimension. I would not put both on my drawing sheet. I'm going to choose one or the other. Later I'll talk about why, but I'm going to choose to leave it on the right view instead of the front view for this particular part. My depth I can see not in the front view, right? Because I can't see the back. I have no depth perception in the front view while looking straight on. But remember, we rotated around the right view. This is the front and this is the back. The distance from front to back is the depth. So that's my depth, as well as in the top view, this is the front and this is the back. Those are both depth. Again, I wouldn't put the same dimension in the drawing twice. There's no need to give the same information more than once. So I'm going to choose one or the other. And again, in this particular one, it really doesn't matter. I'm just going to choose one of them, so I'm going to delete that one. So there you go. I have my 3 overall dimensions: overall width, overall height, and depth. And I kind of like those dimension numbers to be right in the middle of that dimension line. So if that didn't do that, I'll kind of neaten those up. Okay. Next up is to now look at each of those overall dimensions and kind of think about how the part maybe has features along the path, the direction of that dimension, and how it's broken up, and maybe give some smaller dimensions. Do I still have my calculator? Nope. I'm going to open another little window just to kind of use, not to actually calculate anything. I just want something to hide. So what I want you to do is look at this, only think about it in terms of left to right. So I want to slowly reveal this part, and what I want us to look for is, when do I find places where the profile changes? So based on what I've revealed and kind of working left to right, there's no change. Everything's the same. It's just 3 horizontal lines that are parallel, right? And I'm going to kind of keep slowly revealing the part and the width until, oh, I see something that changed. This line stopped, right? And then I've got this vertical line down here too. So something changed right here. You can think of now the width as kind of being broken into section 1. This is being the end of section 1 and the beginning of the next section, section 2. So now, so far from here, kind of think from the beginning of section 2, I just have 2 horizontal lines. It all looks the same, oh, until right here. Something happens, right? So you can think of this as the end of section 2 and the beginning of section 3. And then I'm revealing. So now I'm looking for only a change from, of 3. So I reveal, and oh, something changed, but that's also the end of the object. So basically I want you to look at the width in terms of there's being 3 sections. 1, 2, and 3. You need to give the width of 2 of those 3. In general, you need to give all but 1. If there were 4 sections, I need to know 3 of the 4. If there were 5, I need to know 4 of 5. If there were only 2, I need to have 1 of 2. It's not that I need to know only 1 of 2. It's that I only need to label all but 1. Here's why. If I give 2 of 3, we agree that these 3 sections have to add up to be the overall. So by giving 2 of them, somebody could do subtraction and take these 2 away from that, and the leftovers only have 1 place to go. There's no lines or features that would kind of divide it up into smaller parts. So all the leftovers have 1 place to go. Thus, it's considered known by only giving 2 of 3. Our goal is to make our drawing sheet as clean and simple to read as possible. And that means giving all the information, but giving it in the most efficient way. Okay? Now, I could have given that section instead of the 3rd section. That's still giving 2 of 3. The reason why I chose to put it over here quickly was because we also have a guideline that generally says we usually like to have our dimensions on the contours if possible. So these are kind of the protrusions or things that stick out. So that's just a nicer place to put that width. So that's it. My widths are done. I have the overall width, and then I have 2 of the 3 sections. Let's go on to height. The reason why I put the height here, I said I'd mention it again, is because another guideline, which I've modeled here without saying, is we like our dimensions to be in between the views that I can see that dimension. So height can be seen here in between the front, it can be seen in the front view and the right view. So this space right here on my paper is in between those two views. I also knew that I had kind of two sections of height and I was going to have to give one of the two. Well, this little section kind of sticks out here, pointing towards this in-between area, where over here it didn't. I would have had to grab that height here and kind of drag that extension line through the part, which isn't quite as nice as having it on the contour here. Does that make sense? So here, I'm on the contour and in between the views. And if I'm going to put that one there, I might as well put the overall height attached to the same view. Seems to be the nice way to do it. Same thing works with depth, although this here is kind of the in-between area, or this here. And this has the nice contour as well, kind of that stair step, so that I've got a section sticking out, but I have it here as well. So I just chose to leave the overall height here, and then between this height or this height, hopefully you see I want this one. This one just sticks out further. So there's my overall depth, and then one of the two sections of depth. In the end, that's it. Those are all the dimensions I need. Okay, so last up, maybe I want to choose to turn hidden lines on if there are any. If I come to the front view, this is kind of the base view for both the top and the right. And if I right click here and say show, show or hide edges, nope. Show hidden lines, sorry. Maybe I'm thinking of Inventor. Usually that turns it on for the other dependent views, but I may have to go do it in each one independently. I don't think there's going to be any hidden lines in the top view, right? But if there aren't any, they just won't show up, right? Because there aren't any. So the only place I was really going to have a hidden line is on the right view, because I've got this face that is closest to me that I'm looking at, but under the surface back there is that little step. And so that surface there is showing up as a hidden edge. Okay? The very last thing is to zoom out and take one last look and to make sure it looks neat and organized. Have the dimensions in the middle of your dimension lines. Have consistent spacing. This certainly doesn't look quite as nice. Okay? Have your views in a place on the paper that makes sense. That certainly doesn't look nice. Having them maybe really close together doesn't look very balanced on the paper. Okay? So, try to get the spacing such that you've got spacing between the part and the border, between the dimensions and the other parts, and just kind of give it some balance. Now, let me fix up my dimensions. I said I want some consistency, some uniformity to my spacing. So whatever distance I seem to have between the part, the object lines, and my dimension, maybe try to have that similar distance between the next layer of dimensions. The longer dimensions should be further from the part. The little ones are nested in closer. If not, those extension lines of the little ones cross over the big one, and that's a no-no. Okay? But let's try to have maybe a consistent amount of spacing from here to here, and then from here to here. And then let's repeat that similar spacing in the other views. Again, that doesn't look very nice and professional, does it? Okay, so you're just trying to have and develop an eye for finding things to be uniform and balanced. And then you're good. All right, good luck creating your multi-view drawings.